Greetings and welcome. This is Psychic Medium Roberto, and I truly hope you're doing well. I'm guided and led by Spirit. Trigger warning, the subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with true crime and unfortunately involving children. Disclaimer, all cases, names, people are treated as alleged until proven in a court of law. Disclaimer, all numbers used in this case pertain to the case context specifically and bears no resemblance to similar or same numbers you may have in your date of birth. All right, Dulce. Now, there's a bit of a backstory with this. When I was first starting the channel, her case had popped up on my dashboard, and for whatever reason, it never got done. So that, on one hand, is not cool. I was aware of the sketch that was drawn, and I've got the sketch here, and that there was a red van driving away at the time. Now, the composite of the sketch was done on October 11, 2019. So we're going to have a look at those dates in relation to the date, unfortunately, that Dulce goes missing, September 16, 2019. So this was actually about a year before I started my channel. Unfortunately, I don't believe this was a good ending for Dulce, unfortunately. And may her soul rest in peace, and may we find answers in this reading. So the day she goes missing. Now, I'm going to say, if this was a genuine abduction and taking of the kid for whatever reason, then I would say I'm not seeing those numbers here. In other words, what do I mean? So let's look on the day that she goes missing, right? So in the zone where she goes missing, we see a 25-7, 16-7, and a 12-3. And I've just been reminded, there's that picture of her in the shop with, I don't know who's with her, but her family or her cousins or sisters. And I'm referring to this one here, where she's wearing the yellow shirt, walking into the shop here. This picture always bothered me, because it's to say, if this was the photo of the day, and I stand to be corrected, but if this was the photo where she's walking into the shop here, my feeling was always, well, if she's with people, then she should be fine. But we know that during the day, while her mom and her siblings were at the park, the narrative goes that a man of Hispanic origins drives away in a red van. Now, the issue with that is we have a 16-7 year. And 16-7 usually refers to kidnapping. So in other words, kidnapping for ransom. If it was an abduction, we would see a 21-3. Now, even looking in the intention, there's no abduction number. In the +6, there's no abduction number. So what is going on here? For me, things aren't adding up here, to be honest. So let's go through the numbers. On the day she goes missing, like I said, 16-7. The outcome is 37-10-1, 28-10-1, 19-10-1, 10-1. So yes, on one hand, we can say these are typical trafficking numbers. Yes. And when we look in the intention, we see a 19-10-1, 19-10-1. So there's definitely some level of operation going on around her. But again, in the intention and the outcome, we find unusual numbers for an abduction. 40, outcome 4, 31, 4, 22, 4, 13, 4, 4. So in other words, I'm not getting the right numbers for a complete total abduction of a young girl, 5 years old. In the action, So what happened to Dulce was premeditated. In the action, we see a 22-4. In the action, we see a 22-4. That is premeditation number. That is planned. Planned. So in other words, someone would have known that she would be at the park at a particular time. Now we can argue, yes, I've read some notes. People were scouting and they always continue to scout. That's one thing. We got a 13-4, there's the child, 13-4, and there's a hidden 31-4. That's also problematic for me. Okay, so this 40 outcome 4 is problematic in the intention, and the 31-4 hidden. Now have a look in the action here. The outcome of the day. Now this is post what happened to her, right? 43-7. Made to look like 16-7. You see, it's still showing made to look like a kidnapping. So something is off about the numbers and something is off about the situation. It's not in my opinion, this is not a clear-cut case of someone scouting, snatching, and we never see her again, right? So let's go deeper. 25-7, so now the outcome. There's a couple of 7s around here, which bothers me. And then we see 46-10-1, 37-10-1, and so on. So 46-10-1, on one hand, can speak about human trafficking. I've just had something dawn upon me. And there's evidence corroborating it as well, unfortunately. Let's go back to the +6. So, of course, every sequence of numbers has a variety of meanings in a variety of contexts. I believe this may have been I believe there's evidence here, and we'll confirm that this was done for the purposes of organs and body parts. Sorry to say. 46-10-1. So 22-4, now if we're in the +6, 22-4, this is the day she goes missing, right? 22-4 in combination of 13-4. So 22-4 can bring around things like a medical facility. And when you have the conflict here, 13-4 is a living child, and 31-4 could be a child in distress or a child that's passed. All right, so let's see if we can find corroborating evidence of what has happened here. So we see, now if I stay in the action, the next day we find a 44-8. That unfortunately falls in line with premeditation, so the 22-4. So this was definitely planned. That 44-8 also brings around that emergency operation procedure. And the word kidney has just come into mind. I didn't expect this. I started working on this probably 24 hours ago, 48 hours ago, and it just wasn't clicking. So I figured when I started recording, let me just iron out the odd numbers. All right, let's continue. You see in the day after, so the day after she goes missing, we see a 14-5 here. So that will definitely indicate crossing of borders. 14-5, crossing of borders. So young Dulce went missing September 16, in New Jersey. So that's quite a far away. Well, where would she have traveled, right? So 14.5 is showing me there's crossing of borders, but we find another concerning number, 32.5. So 4. Okay, I'm not liking what I'm seeing here. 26.8 in the +9. Just bear with me because I'm getting information that I hadn't received before. So when we're in the turnaround in the +1 event day, in the +9 we see a 26.8. Oh. Unfortunately, it's another confirmation number when we're dealing with organ transplants. So this was definitely an organ transplant situation here. And this is what was confusing me yesterday, because the last thing we want to do is point fingers at the parents and so on and so on. But I was picking up a lot of family numbers around here. So the day before she is snatched, in the +6, there's big issues here. Whoever these people are, you see, here's another confirmation. So we've got all in this red block here. We've got all of these 3. So something has happened here, and we can agree. I don't believe it happened within the Alavez family, but we have a hidden 30 outcome 3. So there's a mother in distress here. There's a mother in distress here. And with all of these 6s can bring around organs. And we find a 33.6, 42.6. So something, now we can agree that it wasn't Dulce the day before having a kidney failure, right? So this would have been, let me just see something here. So in other words, the day before, there are conflicts here, 3. So when we're dealing with 12.3 conflicts, we're dealing with communities of people. But we're also talking about something is not working. Something's not working here. There's an issue. And in the intention of the day before, we have a 9 + 18, 9. So I'm not a doctor, so I don't know how organs work, whether it's got to be a specific age for a specific age, or, you know what I mean? We can safe to say that you couldn't put a child's in an adult. But the day before, there's conflicts and chaos going on around here. And there's even a measure of a potential death of someone. You see here. Oh. Now, I do not condone any actions that harm or go against children, right? But imagine for a moment, this is something I've just picked up. The day before in the real, there's a 15.6, so that's the perp. That is the perp on the scout. But hidden, 24.6, so there's definitely the person that was looking out for someone, which unfortunately happened to be Dulce in this case. There's a hidden 24.6. So this guy, whoever this person is in distress because of his family. And if we go deeper into that, we see there's an 18.9. So there's a threat of death within this person's family. And the mom is freaking out, 30 outcome 3. I'm not saying Dulce's mom, whoever this perp is, and whoever that family is, the mother of that family is having a freak out. Because 12.3 speaks about integration. Integration of organs, for example. And we see in the +6 the day before, 42.6, something failed with that family. So you know why these 7s are bothering me? the reason why these sevens are bothering me in the action is because they can also speak about the parents in distress. And in the outcome, so the day before Dulce goes missing, the day before 24/6, there's the family number. This is all about the family. Followed by 15/6, which is the perp on the run, or the perp looking hidden, 33/6. So we can say, and we mustn't always think 33/6, yes, it can be sacrificial, and that's the route I went down yesterday. But when you're dealing with family, hospitals, organs, hidden 33/6, so there's definitely, they're looking for a match. And when you got these 14/5, so for example, in the +6, I hope I'm not jumping around too much for you, but in the +6, the day after, so the day she goes missing, the day becomes night. Then from midnight to the next morning, we see a 23/5. So it's got such a lovely face. The unfortunate situation with Dulce is she fit the criteria for what the perp was looking for. And when you're dealing with fives, we're also dealing with ethnicity. And then the 14/5 confirms that. Hidden 32/5. Oh, gosh, just bumping into these numbers, right? 32/5, then in the action, the following afternoon, the following day, I believe that would have been it for Dulce, unfortunately. So in my opinion, we've got a situation where people of similar ethnicity were scouting for someone that can match a donor. Let's look at when the identikit was made. Let's see what we can pick up here. You see here on the actual day that it was published, right? October 11, 2019. Look at all of these threes here. 12-3, 12-3, 12-3, 21-3 in the first two rows. Matches what was happening the day before. So in the intention of the day before, we got a portal sequence, but more importantly, in this case, we got a stack of threes. And in the action, in the first two rows, we got too many threes here. So already we've got similar numbers, and then we find a 33/6, 24/6, 15/6. So here again, in the +3, in the center, we got a 15/6. And hidden 24/6, the family, matches the day before in the real, 15/6, hidden 24/6. So we already now we can say this, if what the identikit was released is the identikit of the person related to the case. Look here in the +6. We also have an 18/9 in the day position, 18/9 portal, stack of threes, which matches the day before. So I would say this is a spot on match of who the perp is. And we need to ask ourselves, what are the known harvesting sites? I know it sounds terrible, whether it's in Mexico or in Canada or wherever it may be. I don't believe it was in the US. I believe this person would have been in transit the whole way after the event until the next day. Because only the next day, so let's say approximately 12 hours to 24 hours, we find the 14/5. So that's when they cross the border. So in my opinion, this was a organ trafficking situation, and the perp was looking for a match for that family in need, unfortunately, is what I'm picking up here. And we can see that the numbers in the identikit, so the identikit was released just under a month later, and all these numbers of this person that was seen, matches all the numbers the day before, which means there's a match here. It's an unfortunate, terrible case of another family in need, and they go out looking for matches on the black market, of course, and not through legitimate means. But while with this 22-4 in the +6 means the facility, the hospital, wherever the operation was performed, was standing by waiting for this person to come back, unfortunately. And may her soul rest in peace. But I don't believe this is going to be a good outcome. And I believe this has to do with organ trafficking, not child trafficking. Organ trafficking is the lead. And unfortunately for her parents and her siblings, this will echo in eternity. And may her soul rest in peace. Bye for now.